You guys are not going to believe what happened in today's trade. Stay tuned, and yes, this is in fact a live trading account. No fake profits. Hey guys, welcome back to another live trading video. Taking a look at Euro CAD here. I just picked up a short position, 168,000 units, and I am risking $400 on the trade. You can see I've got my stop loss order here. I literally just entered here on my broker, Oanda. Sometimes people ask me how I can trade on TradingView directly. It's because I use Oanda, and Oanda is integrated with TradingView to let you trade on their platform, which I think is really cool. Anyways, I am shorting Euro CAD here on a pullback in the New York session here. As we just get started, I'm just getting to my office here and taking a look at the pair. I like this thing to the downside, and there's a couple reasons. We'll start with the technicals and then we'll jump into the EdgeFinder and show you guys the full metrics there. So we've been putting in some lower highs here, and overall this market looks bearish, right? We've been seeing this thing consistently find sellers each time it tries to rally. These small counter trends pulling into, the major trend basically getting sold. Now we did get a pretty strong, bounce off of the lows here, and perhaps I'm a bit early in my idea to sell this, but that's why my stop loss is in place. In case I am wrong about this, I will be stopped out of the trade pretty quick. Now, my stop loss is 30 pips away. So what I did is I highlighted this area of structure here looking left. I decided, okay, I like this area to the sell side, and if this price goes flying past that level of resistance, then I'm just going to stop out here and possibly look to re-enter at a later point. But I really like this downward trend and would like to see if it can hold well here as we get going in the trade. Now, this market is in a very strong downward trend if we scroll out on the higher time frames, so that gives me extra confirmation. And if we apply the moving averages, you can see we've been moving with a lot of strength here to the downside. So we'll see if we can get a move here. But my goal again is to risk $400 in a worst case scenario, which is to me not a huge loss on the account. So I'm not putting myself in a lot of jeopardy by taking this position. So let's talk a little bit about the reasoning behind the trade. So I'm actually using the EdgeFinder, and this Euro CAD scan, by the time you see this video, it could be out to the public, but we're adding a lot more currency pairs. By default, we only have, or the first iteration, we have things like Euro Yen, Pound Yen, but Euro CAD is being added. So I'm taking a look at it here with you guys. So this is a sneak peek of the back end. But anyways, it is a strong reading to the downside overall, a score of -5, which is a strong sell reading. Interest rate divergence here, you can see retail traders are heavily long on the pair, so I am more interested in being short, going against that crowd that tends to lose money. Unfortunately, the retail sentiment is going to get a -1 score for that. Seasonality, the month of April tends to be negative for this pair, so that's going to give me a sell bias, -1. Trend reading, we have a strong trend to the downside there, and that kind of solidifies my short bias there. Now, this is the EdgeFinder. You guys can find a copy of this in the description if you would like to purchase it. It is a software that our team here at A1 Trading has been designing for the last few weeks and working a lot of overtime on to put this thing together. But so that's kind of my thought process here. There is also some GDP comparison we could do. So here's Europe, for example, GDP growing after post-pandemic stuff, but not as much or not as consistently and strong as the Canadian dollar. Also, we have, I hope you can see this behind the screen, you'll see part of it. This is what I'm looking at is the Euro unemployment, and then here's the Canadian unemployment. So you can see your Canadian unemployment is lower, which is another positive factor. So that's where we're at with that. If I jump back over to the chart again, shorting into this resistance, looking for more downside, and we've got to talk about targets. We got to talk about where this thing could go next. And the first thing I'm going to look at is this previous low, right? That's got to be the major point of interest. But then there's kind of a major and minor, I'm mixing them up. A minor point of interest, which would just be this little, this point here where we found support intraday, probably during the London session there. So I am looking to see if we can get at least a move there. If we do see a rollover effect, then I'll go ahead and move that stop to break even. But from there, we'll see if we can get a bigger drop and look to try and secure profits as we, hopefully, if this trend continues, move back down to the lows. Now, an ideal situation would be a drop down to those levels and a continuation past them. If that happens, we'll be in the money. We'll be looking at a good trade there. But for now, we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. Let's just, go with the trade. That was the idea. I called this trade out in the VIP Discord, by the way. Every trade that I take gets shared here, whether it's a win or a loss. You guys can see my trades inside of the Discord channel. If you're not in the Discord, there's also a link down below in the description to join that. I share every breakdown and the full reasoning behind why I'm taking the trades that I'm taking, which is more important. It's not a signal service in the sense that you don't just get to, it's not just about copying. I share every detail that I am, thinking through before I take a trade. So if you'd like to join that, the link is down below in the description. What I'll do now is I'll pause the video, give it a little bit of time here to let this trade pass or get started, and then we'll come back on the screen. Wow, guys, I'm at a loss for words for what happened with this trade, because this is pretty incredible. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what happened since the initial opening phase of this trade, kind of catch you guys up to speed. So you can actually see, I'll just zoom in so you can see where we're at. I am logged into my real broker. This is all, nothing about this is made up. This is literally so crazy to me though. Look how close we were to stopping out on this trade. So this is where I entered, sold 168,000 units. You can see I'm still in that trade. Price went right up here and smacked against me initially. But look how close. I counted it out on stream. I believe it was 0.8 pips away from getting hit. Yeah, 0.7, 0.8 pips from getting my stop loss hit here on the trade.
Well, they don't come any closer than that.
Which is, I think this is setting a record for me in terms of, barely staying in a stop loss or barely staying in a trade, missing stop loss. I've had situations where this looks like my take profit, right? Where price barely misses my take profit and goes back the other way. But this is kind of an awesome feeling, I'm not going to lie, to survive that, to come back down and now drop a total of like 90 pips here back in the direction of my trade. So I am currently sitting at, I recorded this on stream. I was literally down like 395 or something like that, right? $395 down. And then since then, we have basically come back into play here and the trend has prevailed, which is kind of an awesome feeling considering, we barely stayed in this trade. So we could have walked away with a $400 loss and now we're floating a $750 winner here. So really good, good spot to be in. Of course, the initial trade entry was not as good as I expected. To take it, to treat it honestly, my thought process was we would come up to this level and we would sell off. And it does look like that level was fine. Except that it, tried to basically do a little bit of a move higher, failed there, and ultimately came down. Now you could have made the argument that there was probably a little bit of liquidity there and perhaps the market shot up to grab some stop loss orders. And fortunately, my stop loss was just far enough away, literally just far enough away to stay in the trade. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and trail this stop loss to break even. So I'm dragging that in here so I can no longer lose on the trade. So in fact, in this case, I'll make $14, which is, not so bad. So worst case scenario is now locked in. That's a great spot to be in, have that stop loss trailed. And again, this thing is very volatile. We had a big drop here this morning. And from here, it's a measure of whether or not we can, get some follow through on this trade. We mentioned early on in the idea that the swing back to the low is a target for us, which has ultimately been hit here. So now the question is, can we get down there and stay down there? Looks like we're getting a bit of a reaction off of this zone. What I will do is I'll just leave my stop at break even because again, I like the idea of this downward trend continuing, lots of lower highs. And despite this craziness, we did technically put in a lower high on the trade. We've also, dropped really well, hit our targets there, cleared that low. And now, coming down to this zone. We'll see if we can get a close in that area. Ultimately, the idea here would be to trail stops really aggressively from here. We would like to see this thing put in a new low. If that happens, we'll be in a great spot with this Euro CAD short. And again, we'll just give it some more time, let it play on. Okay guys, so things are very volatile on Euro CAD this morning. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is we have seen some interesting price action play out. This zone that we marked here, we had support. Once that broke, we retested this morning and turned resistance very quickly after breaking through. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna take this stop loss. And I'm basically going to put it right, actually, you know what, let me get that right. Let me get right above that level because basically I don't want to see price come back up there. Really, if this trade is going to continue on, it probably shouldn't reverse and head back up. Now, if it does, again, I'll just take my profits there. I think we locked in, let's double check what that was. Locked in $362.99. So that's not bad. Worst case scenario is I walk away with 360 bucks. That's a good scenario to me. So especially considering we almost got stopped out on the initial phase of the trade. So we hit this target. That was kind of our idea to once we hit that, go ahead and move stops into profit. So we've gone from an initial loss of $400, we locked in break even, and now we've locked in about $360 on the trade, just using price action and market structure to identify a place to put that stop. So now the next thing I want to say, the last thing I'll say is the next major continuation point would be right here. If we can get back down to that level and even break underneath it, that would be big stuff. That would be where we go ahead and take that stop loss and probably trail it down above structure here. But again, we're getting ahead of ourselves right now. We are floating around 775 bucks. We'll see if we can get more on the trade. If it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, we'll take our profit. So good spot to be in, and we'll pause the video. All right, guys, and that's the end of the trade. This thing definitely reversed hard, and you can see I'm glad that my stop loss was where it was because the ship definitely took on more water after that. So I stopped out just above this structure where you can see the little blue arrow on my broker. So just to recap, we shorted here, covered here, and now the market has rallied. So perhaps there's a chance to look to re-enter something like this the rest of this week. But for now, we're just going to take the profits there. I think we were around, what, 600, let me see, 600 something dollars. $629. So not bad at all. Very happy with this trade, and just another one put behind me. And now we'll just go look for some more. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and remember that you can join our Discord if you haven't already, if you'd like to see the trades that I'm taking in real time, as well as some of our other top analysts inside of the A1 trading community. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Looks like it's time for your next trading video. Check out the videos here and here for more free trading content that should help you in your trading journey. We try and keep it real here, so make sure to subscribe for more content that is down to earth, realistic Forex trading content. See you in the next video.